Hereby provided a written notice and the agenda of the public meeting as stated below. There is an opportunity for public comments as noted on the agenda upon recognition by the presiding officer.
Roll call, everyone is here, and I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, it passes. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Goodness. Okay. I have a couple of things on here to approve first before we get into budget, because unfortunately, I skipped over the fall newsletter. So I'm asking for approval to get that out here in the next month or ish. Anyone want to make that
I
approval?
make a motion to move forward with the fall newsletter for 2022.
Is there a second? I'll second it for discussion. Is there any other discussion regarding this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, it
Aye.
passes. Aye.
Recorded.
Yep. So then we're on to the $20,000 expenditure for 54th Street. If you remember, we made an agreement with Overing Homes that he would construct that for us and we would pay 20,000 towards that construction of that intersection.
I move that the agenda item for approval of $20,000 to Overing Homes be moved to our October 13th, 2022 town board meeting for further action in the presence of our attorney and engineer.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a notification in your drive regarding it. My question is, okay, let me back up. Lee had this request prior to our last meeting and forgot to give it to us. That's why it's on this one.
I'm very sorry to hear that. My motion stands.
I realize, but I'm having discussion.
I'm having discussion.
Well,
There
your
was
mic
no-
is not
There
on.
was no notification. There was no notification for me to have any indication that this would be on our agenda, nor that I needed to look in a drive or in past drives to find any information regarding this. And my motion stands.
You received notification of this agenda prior to this meeting. She sent it out last week. That
I
was
received
something-
notification of the agenda, yes.
Yeah. And it's in the Google Drive.
Our
Look at
emails don't work anymore.
Well,
There was no,
I guess I don't know what you're saying because we put things in the Google Drive for meetings.
there's no reason to be adding expenditures of $20,000 onto a budget workshop meeting.
Just a second, let me get on here. Well,
No.
because he paid his bill to us. He's looking for his money back. And Lee forgot to put it on our last agenda. Let me see where it is. Oh, it's not on here.
Weird.
It did not make the drive. Just a moment. That email from Lee.
You just kind of break things.
Chapman Hills, here it is.
Madam Chair, we pay bills on the second Thursday of the month.
We've paid bills at other times. This is not the first time that this has happened. So the 54th Street intersection of County Road E was improved as part of the Chapman Hills development that the town agreed to in the development agreement to participate in the cost of improvements in the amount of $20,000. The improvements have been completed in conformance with the approved plans for the project. The developer has asked for reimbursement of the $20,000 now that improvements have been completed. That was what his memo was to us, and he included of course, the developer's agreement. So anyone else want to speak to this, or do you want to take a vote? I just read it.
What's the date of it?
Sure, just a moment. Oh, for gosh sakes. The date of it is 9/23, Friday at 9:49. I'm sorry? You weren't here on Friday. That's why I didn't get into the drive. So that was his memo that went to all of it, went to me and her, and it didn't get in the drive because of that. Okay, anything else from anyone? We'll vote on this. If you're in favor of her motion, all of you say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Nay,
Well, I think the motion on the table is Lori's.
yeah,
Okay, to have this come back up to the board on the 12th. Yep.
so nay, and what did you vote? So you voted yes, okay, it'll be back on the 12th then. The 13th. Okay, approval of repairs to the fire hall. This is in your drive. He is ready to start on this. This is a repair to the fire hall walls on the east side. And it is a cost of $3,900 for all of the pullback of the dirt on the east wall with waterproof membrane. And then there's 2 downspouts that need to be replaced and reinstalled with new PVC with no joints for $1,150. And that's to Build Works. Hopefully that will solve our last problem with that wall.
I make a motion to approve the repairs to the fire hall in the amount of $3,900
And $1,150. And $1,150.
and 11,000.
No, 1,150.
Oh, and $1,150.
Is there a second?
A second for discussion.
Yes, go ahead.
Question, why are they broken out? I haven't seen it in the Google Drive, so I have to ask, why are they 2 separate amounts? Why wouldn't we just approve one payment of?
Because they're 2 separate issues. So
Oh,
on the
okay.
upper part coming down, the waterproofing was turned over.
Yep,
So high on the wall towards the corner, there's water intrusion.
yep.
Then down here where the 2 downspouts are, there's a break in them.
Oh,
So they have joints in them. So he's gonna pull them from the top, drop down new ones that are no joints.
oh, okay.
So they don't get water
So
back
because
inside.
it's 2 separate work
Works.
orders for the same vendor?
Yes,
Okay.
BuildWorks. BuildWorks is a vendor.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
I have one.
Aye.
Is this all inside work or is it outside work?
Outside and inside. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, he has to repaint on the inside yet. Those little
Does he
areas.
have a, is BuildWorks is the only business and job?
What did you just say?
Is BuildWorks this gentleman's only enterprise?
Yeah. That's what he does. Lance. Okay, on to the budget. The budget's in front of you. This is as far as Terry and I have gotten. So, oh, you don't have any, oh, yes, you do. The pink lines are ins and outs. And if you look on page 1 at the bottom where it says building and inspection, you can see a little number over there in the right-hand column. That's the expense side. So just so you're aware, we put those numbers in so they match and we rechecked them a couple of times.
Are those year-to-date 2022's actual, the 52.4?
They're year to date.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the income side because most of it is blank. Where we're going to go to is page 4. It's got one yellow line down the center of it. Page 4. And we'll start at the top of that. So some of these things Terry and I went through, some of them came from committees. So I'll start here with Freeman Resources. We put in 1,500 for legal and 1,000 for expenses. This year it kind of got reversed because we had some additional costs having to do with our employees that we had to get tested, et cetera. So that cost is a little higher than we normally see it at 672. But we left them in there at that amount. And I want anyone to speak up with anything they see that they don't like or want changed. So just feel free to speak up. All the salaries were left the same. Board expenses, I put 8,000 back in. Legal fees reimbursable. That one does not have a number and I think we're going to take it out of there because it really does. We left it in there because there's a reason for that. And this is for reimbursables if you have to go to court or something and they have to pay your legal fees. That's why it's in there. Down on 51301, which is 111, is legal fees. These are the legal fees the town's incurring on a monthly regular basis. I put 15. I'm thinking it should be 18 because what is our monthly payment on him? 1,500 or 1,800?
I think it's 18 now.
Is it 18? I think I got the wrong amount there. 21.6 it would be. So I'll move it. We're gonna check on that, but I'll put it to 21 right now. That's line 111.
Go back to that legal fees reimbursable up under
Yeah.
legislative.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that if we go into a court action and the court rules that they have to pay our legal fees, that's where it goes.
If the court rules that,
So say someone sues us or we sue someone else. And the court deems that they have to pay our legal fees. That's the legal fees.
they meaning the person.
The defendant or the plaintiff, whoever that is. Yeah. This is not legal fees for zoning or planning.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
Is 1,800 locked in for 2023?
Well,
Our contract with him or not?
for the legal,
Yeah, number 111.
I don't know, because we don't review him till January. We should pull that contract. Do you have a quick second to run in and get that? Okay. Just pull that contract.
So if so I'm just napkin mathing this. So legal fees. If it's 1,800 a month right now, we would be looking at 21,600 just. in-
Yeah. If it is, but I don't know if it's that high. She's gonna look.
Okay,
So 51301 is only our monthly.
Monthly
our retainer.
Monthly
retainer. Yeah.
retainer.
Well, there's some extra numbers that go in there because this year we had to pay more money for public records requests. So we're gonna end up being over budget on this year because of all the public records requests. The caucus alone with one of the candidates cost us like $3,400. Nope,
And the answer is?
no more caucus. That's what the answer is. Well, you're looking at that.
So
Legal,
what would be legal, what would be 51304?
that is if you go to sue someone in court or you have to defend yourself. So where that came about originally was we got sued, for instance, on the Cajun Club over that ordinance. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court and we won. So all those legal fees went in there.
So this is actually our legal fees to defend ourselves.
Yeah, so it's an extraordinary thing. You're not going to have it happen very often. Then ordinances development and maintenance, a lot of this 15,000 has to do with the website, E-code, et cetera. Did you find it? What?
Ordinance and development, you're putting the website in there?
No, that's Pam Whitmer. That's not the same one. She was the help.
These are only website that should be in this category would be.
No.
code.
I said E-code. That's what I said, our E-code.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, while she's still looking. Oh, here it is. Oh, good. See, this would be nice. So it was 1,800 a month through April 7th of 22, and now it goes to 2,000 a month. So we'll make it 24,000 in there. Will you change that on line 51301? And 111 is on the side, so 24,000. So now down to the clerk treasurer. I put a number in here. It's up to you guys what you want to say about it. The one thing that Terry and I put together was this sheet. I did this because I have a lot of people who say to me, I don't understand why you have 3 people in that office. All they do is answer the phones. Now, I know Rick has firsthand knowledge of what goes on in that office because his wife worked in there. But we decided to put this out here, and I'm going to put this in the newsletter. Because I like that people say, well, they only have to just answer the phones.
I think that's brilliant. Because people are ignorant.
They are. They unfortunately are. And it's, I mean, I don't know what you do about it. I mean, you try to educate them as much as you can.
Well, this is a great piece to plug in where they can digest it at their own.
Yeah.
speed.
And I did separate here. I did say what Michelle does, and I did say what Carolyn does. I do want to state here that I spoke to Chris a little bit about this when he just stepped in here, and Rick, the amount of work that is flying at them from these outside sources, wanting them to check on this and check on that and check on this is unbelievable. This is going to be a 40-hour-a-week job pretty soon if this doesn't tone down a little bit. But right now, some of the requests coming through, and I was explaining to Rick, if you live somewhere else, like
Wait, so you were discussing and explaining these things prior to calling the.
no, just about elections, nothing else. About this stuff coming from this Peter B. Peter B continues to send these informations out, asking for more input. So he's saying, geez, Teresa, you lived in Des Moines, Iowa. Do you really live here? Now they have to go through and check, do I really live here? And the lists keep coming every single week. There's a format done by the WEC, which tells you how you get someone off the rolls. You just can't take them off the rolls because they say, geez, Lori doesn't live here anymore. You got to take her off the roll. That isn't how it works. There has to be proof. So her job has become very, very immense. But then I went through everything that Terry does. And I don't know that I got every single thing, but there's a lot going on, and she will tell you that this last week has been a lot to deal with. So having said that, we went through here and we talked about adding hours to the clerk's office, not posted hours, but hours that they can work here without being interrupted. Terry does it a lot. She's always here late and she's always here early and she's here extra days. But we talked about adding 4 hours a week to the deputy clerks to get some more hours from them. That means you have to increase the budget to do so. So we did the town clerk treasurer. It says 45 this year. We gave her a bump to 55, if you remember it in her review. I put 60 in. We did deputy clerk treasurers. We did 38 this year. It would have to go to 43.3 just to get them the extra 4 hours a week. And then we have general administration, other and general administration training. So I'm throwing that out there and I want to know what you guys think.
Okay, this is just discussion, there's no motion, right? So on your newsletter piece of it, Terry is our head person in there, sort of, when we put it out there, we should talk about Terry, our clerk treasurer first.
That's fine.
And Michelle, as far as answering the phone, wouldn't her primary thing be accounts receivable and accounts payable?
But I want people to know that she's their first contact here. If no one's on the phone, she answers it first. She's the first one you hear from. Because I get questions, why doesn't Terry answer the phone? Well, because Michelle answers the phone.
Then that's how it's, yeah, so maybe you should reword that first
Yeah.
little part. So that, as far as, that's my own
All right.
commentary on there. And then on your deputy clerk treasurer, since we have 2 of them, are you planning on having both of them work more hours?
That was her intent, that they'd each work a couple more hours a week, yeah.
Then is this amount you have in here for one deputy clerk treasurer or 2?
It's for both.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't divide them out. State doesn't let you do that. Because
And-
remember, these 5-digit numbers are state mandated. On the left-hand side there.
I know
And,
that, yeah.
and the staff are looking forward to the increase in hours and team effort.
She hasn't talked to him yet, but
Okay.
they've talked about it. I mean, you guys have talked about it.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
and
wanna,
this includes a raise to each of them
I
too, because
just
they're a year deep in their
wanna,
last
know.
raise.
I use the business side of my,
Yeah, no, they've talked about adding hours.
So I have a question on this for adding hours.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've noticed is we're probably getting very close to that full-time employee status. If we count in overtime,
There is no overtime here.
that's what I mean is, are we pushing to the point where we would have to start defining employees as full-time. If they're working more than 40 hours a week, or no, it's 36 hours a week in the state of Wisconsin, they're considered legally full-time
Right,
staff.
right.
Are any of our current employees getting to that point where we're seeing them work 36 hours a week?
She is, but she's salary.
So she'd be exempt.
So
Right.
Yep. The
we
reason,
would have to look into this. Not us here, we would have to look into how this is written in our handbook.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna just go over on my side. I don't pay anybody unless they got 80 hours the same week. I mean, there's some huge wiggle room in how people write this
Yep.
stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
that's,
I agree-
that's what
I
I'm trying to
agree.
get at is there a value to look into this? Because I don't want us to be put in a position where someone is working over that period of time and we are now having to put them as full-time.
So
But
we're
you
both saying
understand,
the same
it
thing.
isn't by the week, it is by their pay period, and their pay period is a month.
Only if they're salary.
No.
No,
If
in
you're an
the-
hourly employee, it's based on your pay period. I was with a firm not too long ago that got audited on this. It's by the pay period.
so I understand. So if you're saying if we're not having people work 36 hours for 2 weeks straight in that pay period, then they're not considered.
30 days.
We've only paid people once a month.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's what you sign every month. You see them every
Well, no,
month.
no, I understand
Yeah.
that, but I didn't understand that that would mean that we weren't splitting it out and just budgeting for every 2 weeks.
No, we cannot pay without board approval, and the board has never wanted to meet twice a month to approve payroll.
Okay, when I worked for the county, we got paid every 2 weeks. That's why I say that.
Well, they have staff.
Yep, but that's what I'm also stating is, are we getting close to having staff, not having
Mm-mm.
folks in an office? That's where I'm trying to make
Yeah.
sure we tread carefully.
Okay,
And I have, my next question is, when we talk about deputy clerks, are we talking about salaried people or hourly people?
hourly. They're all hourly.
Is our clerk treasurer hourly?
No,
That's why
She's
Teresa
salary.
was stating
I
that she
just
could work
stated.
more than 36 hours is because she's not working 120 hours in a month. Which it's not quite 120, it's 36.
it doesn't matter. She's salaried, she's exempt.
Well, based on her pay, she's exempt.
And is it time that your deputy clerks are also salaried?
I don't know why you do that. I don't know any deputy clerks that are salaried in the towns.
There's not, is there
Or the-
something that says that it's a law and we can't have that? We just have,
I don't know why you'd want to do that.
I don't know. I've never been deputy clerk and I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. from
Well,
our
one of the
standpoint.
things is that you've got to track your costs on your elections. And that all has to be hourly, so you can't do it by salary on those people. It all has to be hourly. Because if you, all these,
So are the election, so how would she be different than any other election employee that day? So she could be hourly for elections and salaried for her work here.
I think that's a little bit of a gray area to try to manage that.
I kind of feel like we'd give them the rented mule feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very comfortable. I mean, they are too with the salary or the per hour. Gives them some flexibility. Their flexibility is, if they have a doctor's appointment, they can go to it tomorrow and come in late and work later or whatever. I mean, they have some flexibility with her. We don't manage that. She manages all of the deputy clerks. We only get to choose the salary. That's it. And that's state law.
Okay, and there's no other compensation for our clerk treasurer in this budget? I mean, is there 401k and no other benefits? So
No.
this,
She
This
gets,
is-
she gets some vacation.
PTO.
correct.
Yeah.
But there's no special fund building up.
We have not chosen to belong to the Wisconsin Retirement Fund. That's really about the only one you can go to as a governmental unit. You can't go into a 401k.
There's no medical insurance
No,
with this, there's
no.
no
Oh,
dental,
good
there's
Lord.
no. So, so when someone says, well, that seems like a pretty high wage for a town clerk, we go, well,
Oh,
there's no benefits included, there's
No.
no retirement, it's.
Well, we had, a couple months ago, we had a thing regarding Wisconsin State Retirement and an option for whether or not that's of interest to us. And there was a survey on whatever happened to those statistics and the information on that.
well, the
Because
county
that-
belongs to the Wisconsin Retirement System. The school district does, the town of Hudson does. Here's the problem, is that she would be the only one that would come close to qualifying in the whole town. Because I've already done the qualifications at the town of Hudson. You have to meet a certain threshold of hours and you have to be a certain threshold of weeks. She's probably the only one that would qualify, and then you're dumping in half of that amount, so the town has to pay half of it. She pays half, the town pays half.
And what's the problem with paying for one employee? And why wouldn't, and if you're gonna increase your deputies' hours, wouldn't they feasibly be able to
They're gonna
reach?
have to be close to 40 hours before they qualify. And we're not there yet. I know Annie looked into it when she was here and it just didn't make a whole lot of, it's hard to balance that out. Because there's a cost involved in being in that, not only for the amount that the town pays, but for the administrative cost of that program. It is not easy. But it's something to consider in the future, for sure. All right,
I'm gonna
I-
ask
go ahead.
the clerk. Would it be something worth this board exploring to offer WRS, even if you're the only faculty who would be eligible? I think it just seems difficult for me to wrap my head around saying that the only thing we have here is we offer you, is it 3 PTO days a year?
No,
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 I
it's
don't know.
6.
Oh, 6, I apologize. 6 PTO days in a calendar year.
Next time you're on the Google Drive, Google her contract, it's in there.
Okay.
I guess we can,
The question is still to you.
so we can go back, how much to put on this line? and-
Take it or leave it. Okay.
I guess we can move on after this statement is. As a board, as a group here, as a board, I wanna retain these people and I would hope that they may have the opportunity to speak up also to give us an idea if they're currently happy or see some sort of improvement.
We
Thank
will
you.
have a closed session at the October board meeting
Okay,
for her. We cannot review them. But we
oh,
can,
I'm not asking,
but we can ask her to talk to them and come back
Okay,
with that
well.
at that time.
so you just heard it out of my mouth.
Okay. Yeah, so
So
she'll be on that because she's just been here a year now.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll move on. IT, we put in 39,000 there because, but we're gonna change that. The bill came. Oh, other is just other, the cost of doing business here in the office.
what goes into that category?
Folders, paper, the printer costs, you know,
Phones.
no, phones is under utilities. All the costs of this town running, I mean, there's a lot. And then the training, this training number of $45 year to date is not right. And I know, do you want to highlight that so you can change it for the next meeting? It's not correct, because she had training earlier in the year that cost more than that. IT, we put in this, the money we still owe on this contract, but they sent us the bill for it, this thing.
Oh, so we're gonna
We
get
only
paid-
paid half. So we still owe the second half
Are we gonna pay it in 2022 then?
in October, so I'm gonna take it off of there.
So that'll come at 0?
No, there'll still be costs in there. Cause, yes, sir.
Back to the training part, I just wanted to educate Chris on what, they also held clerk education in Eau Claire. Where did you go to? Did you do any clerk?
Yeah, you're trained.
Oh,
So you,
fancy.
she did through University of Wisconsin, Green
Okay.
Bay.
Mhm.
She did the Green Bay Institute. It took a week.
Oh, you traveled over there?
No, she could do it online from home.
Oh, fine, okay.
Yep. Okay, elections. We left the elections at 8,000. This year, you're gonna be over because of the cost of doing elections is much higher, but next year you have a maximum of 4. What?
We know IT is 39,000. We have all of this pay off in 2022, what numbers being dropped in there?
Was it 15?
So they came up with the budget of 15.
Yeah.
And then that added to that is the AV,
Which we're taking out.
which we're gonna be taking off.
So it'll be 15. So elections 8. We did 1,000, no, 8 for payroll, that's what it is. 1,000 for equipment. 6,500 for expenses and 1,000 for training.
And go with their 20.
Yes, because in 2024, we're gonna increase them. And this year, your payroll's over because of all the new poll workers that we had to get trained in here and they couldn't. You can't bring all the new workers in and have them sit here by themselves because they have never worked before. So we kind of had to double up a couple of those elections and have more poll workers than we would normally have. But now they're all back in the groove. So now next year will be a better number.
So question just for my education is, if we know that the cost of elections is increasing for next year, why would we keep,
No, 24,
okay,
not next year.
but would it be prudent to increase since we already knew we went over budget this year?
Okay, let me back up. Poll workers are nominated to serve for 2 years.
Okay.
We got them trained, then we had to have them in an election with others to help them.
Mhm.
They're trained now, so they can work on their own at elections, the new people. So you don't have to have someone sit next to them that's another election worker that's worked here. That's why that number goes down for these later elections. And next year, there's no new nominations. That's a 2-year term for poll workers. So you won't
Okay.
get the new people in again till the end of 24.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I need an education question here now. Has it always been that new poll workers worked in partnership with another poll worker?
Yes.
Okay. So that would explain why there was an unusual amount of people this year.
Well, for the April election,
Yes.
for the one what was the one before that, February?
Mhm.
We had a couple extra people at that one to try to help those new people through because they had just been trained. And you have to take the poll workers off the list that are presented to you, but you can fill in with your other workers that they did not put on their list. It's a real convoluted way of doing poll workers, unfortunately. But now they're all trained and have all worked, so now they know what their roles are pretty good.
Are poll workers staggered terms or not necessarily?
No, 2 years. There's no staggered terms.
Okay, that explains it.
Yep. All
Thank you.
right. On to accounting and auditing, we put 10 in there. We came just under that this year, which was good news compared to 21. A much better number. The tax assessor has already told us it'll be 33.
I think
I
he's gonna
think he
send
did.
something. It might
Yeah.
go up a little, but.
County treasurer, that's for tax collections. That number is empty year to date because it's sitting somewhere else.
I'll find it.
Oh, it's under the next page, under 112, under other financial administration. Part of that number is sitting in that 5,000. You want to highlight that one? This number here, part of that has to be there. So under 131, part of this 5,000 from this
Oh.
St. Clair County treasurer goes here under
Yes.
131. Yeah. Town,
Just for my education. In 2021 actuals, under 51531 county treasurer, we had 33,000.
no, that's assessor here. Oh, 33,021 actual.
21.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are in the wrong spot.
Okay, so we would need to switch
These two.
51530 and 51531
Oh.
for historical
Yeah, they're in
record.
the wrong one. That was before Terry's time. Yeah,
Okay, so it was actually a mistake. Clerical error when we
yep.
approved the budget. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, on to hall building repair. You know, I put 30 in here. I don't know that I need 30 in there, but I put 30 in there. And then I was thinking about this wall, which we're doing this year. So we could lower that 30 back to say, 18 or something. What do you guys want to do on that? I'll go 20. I'm happy with that. So she wants to change 20 on line 135, 20. Then town hall cleaning. I want to talk to you guys about this. We're not happy with the cleaners we have at all. And we're searching for someone new. I don't know what to say. We've got to get someone in here that can do this job and do it right. I am tired of sitting here and looking at dirt under all these chairs. So we put a little extra in there. We bumped it up to 7,000.
What's your method gonna be your method for finding somebody and how you gonna?
Well, I've
how
been
you gonna do
asking
that?
commercial people who have their own businesses as to who they have that cleans for them. So if you know someone, Chris, speak up and let her know. So we're making appointments to get them in here and take a look and give us a price.
So when you say commercial people, is it banks or is it insurance agents or?
No, I've talked to people who own their own businesses, like one of them was a large hair salon. And the place is squeaky clean. I go, who cleans this place? I want to know. I have another one who owns a manufacturing business in town. Who cleans up this place? I want to know. So if you know of anybody, we're looking. Yes, sir.
I don't know anyone, but at the review, we were all happy pants.
Things have changed. We do not have the same crew any given week from the last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she was concerned.
So it changes over. Those toilets have been filthy for weeks because they're not cleaning the rust out of them. And that never happened before, but they blow in, blow out, and they're not here. And so we're trying to find someone who will pay better attention. And it's hard because she's not here. She just has,
Had a conversation with her.
they have, yes.
Yeah, it wasn't pleasant.
It was what?
It was not pleasant with her. When we had to change time and whatnot with her, she was not. happy.
They're always supposed to come in the morning. They did not come.
Mhm.
There was a meeting here. Lee had a meeting here in the afternoon with someone. And they wanted to come in at 2:00 and she said, listen, you were supposed to be here this morning. I can't have you come at 2:00. Can you come back at 3:00? And she called them up and raised holy hell with them. That's not right. You were supposed to be here in the morning. That's when you're supposed to be here.
Terry, as Teresa clearly stated what you experienced.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So I raised it to 7. Town hall maintenance, I put at 17. I don't know if that's going to be a real number or not. I'm thinking that we can probably go less on that. With the electrical, we had to have Mondor back in here and change out these electrical plugs because they were sparking. So I consider that maintenance. So he rewired some of that. We had to have a plumbing issue taken care of. That's considered maintenance. I truly believe that would go under, I usually put the big number items up on building repair. Also, just so you know, I think we're facing new toilets here pretty soon. The age of them is getting to the point there's not good parts available. Town of Hudson, theirs are 30 years old and their plumber said, you're done. It's time for new toilets. So they're replacing all the toilets. Because they, in the project, they just said, why are we trying to battle this? Because he can't get them to stop running. There's just no parts to them. We have 4. No, we have 3. So I mean, you're talking $1,000. So we'll
Sorry,
see.
how many do we have?
3, 2 in the women, 1 in the men's.
Okay.
Anyway, it's something we'll probably be looking at next year. And then utilities, we put it at 20, although I think this year, the way the numbers are going, it's gonna be less. So we'll see where that ends up. Our insurance is at 22, a little bit higher than this year. This year we came in at 20. The town share of Social Security is not in there. Terry's working on that number. And it's not in at 22 actual. Do you want to highlight those two so you know you got to deal with those? And then unemployment sits at 1,000. We have not had to pay any unemployment insurance to the state this year yet. Our bankroll is good and we've not had anyone claim against it. So as it works for municipalities, you let them know who worked for you that month and they come back and tell you if you owe anything based on what you've got sitting there. It's different than a business. A business pays a percentage every month. This, we don't. So that's why there's no number in there. Okay. Public safety. These numbers came from the fire department. The only thing they changed was payroll and benefits. Everything else is the same. They upped their payroll and benefits from 95 to 102. Any questions? Why not? Public safety doesn't come to 232. Remember, it includes signs and it includes signs and building inspection. Those two pink lines. It includes those.
Our safety people want a 5% raise,
Yeah.
basically.
Basically.
Mhm.
Or you can give more. So the two pink lines below, as you see, the little numbers are over here, so they match. And we'll flip to page 6. Fire hall maintenance, fire building maintenance, I put 4,000 in there. This number for actual has to be turned around a little bit because there was maintenance done on the building that did not get in there. It came under ours and it should be under this one, that one. Top of the page.
Here.
Yeah. St. Clair County Sheriff's Services, they have not billed us anything this year.
Why?
Don't know.
They done? They've been in our
They've been
town.
around.
We tell people to call.
I do.
I did not see the humor.
So I didn't get my 10,000 in there, but I'll put that 10,000 back in.
Are they? Yeah, because they're probably gonna send us a bill.
They didn't charge us when they came at the caucus. Remember that gentleman that was threatening us?
Yeah.
They weren't here for the caucus, they were here for him, but they did not charge us for that.
I do
Because they
think,
consider that public safety. So it wasn't like one of us felt like the man had threatened the whole board, so it wasn't against just one of us, so they came for the whole thing. And they did not charge.
we do need a line item in here.
Yeah, we'll leave it in there and I'll put 10,000.
Okay.
I missed it. Okay, back to Public Works. And Chris, feel free to speak up anytime. We put the reimbursable culvert stuff in there. I'm thinking that this reimbursable utilities and other can come out because there's no reason for it to be in there, those 3 lines. And then bid outs, how we're handling these is that the bid out, we don't divide it out. We just do 400. They asked for 400,000 this year for seal coating, crack sealing. And then all of the rest of them are somewhat in the same ballpark as to what they were this year. Signage is down. They lowered that by 6,000. And engineering, they lowered it by 10.
Let's go back to your two, you're gonna take, reimbursable utilities and others. We've never had a state number assigned to that, and we've never had a number for the budget in there.
No, never
Okay, so that's gonna disappear off this chart.
off the chart. So those are the numbers that they put forth there. Is there anyone have any questions? Yes. Rick?
Yep, I do. The 400,000 is there because you believe prices are gonna be higher. And so you want to do just as much work at a higher price.
Yes,
Why not do more work next year? 400,000 next year will probably go twice as far as 400,000 this coming up year. I mean, the next year. Why? It's just like the
Well, the thing
playground
is,
thing. We're not gonna go ahead with that because it's ridiculously pathetic, the prices. So we said we're gonna wait. You don't think you can wait 1 year on bid outs? And I'm not saying zero.
we were kind of looking at the whole oil part of everything and the fuel part of that stuff, you know, like for Scott or Farner or any of that stuff. And I kind of don't like turning my back on roads anymore. I'm kind of done kicking the can down the road. We
other-
can't come back and fix a huger screw up.
Well, and here's a question to you. So say you didn't do the 400 this year, now you want to do 800 next year. Where's that extra?
No, I'm not saying zero. I'm saying keeping that 250 or 300,000.
Well, we can sit and hash it out all we want. I was just being realistic with today's costs of supplies and freight and oil and since I'm sitting here, I'm not turning my back on stuff that needs to get done.
Okay.
I'm
And you
gonna-
also went off the pavement management plan too. There was a list in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I'm gonna
That was
ask the
that
other
list.
question is, does this 400,000 reflect the plan long-term for maintaining the roads?
Mhm.
Yes,
And make sure that we're not falling behind, because I think it's on a 10-year
that's where I want to be.
rotation. Is that my
Yeah, you're gonna have to be
understanding?
between 400 and 500,000 to keep up with the plan.
Okay.
This is me, that if we continue to look the other way and scrimp, we're gonna get bit somewhere.
No, I think the real answer here is we put forth the money to make a plan. We have a plan, we should stick to it. There shouldn't be a reason to divert at
Thank
this
you.
point.
And remember, you had $18 million in new construction last year. But I get what he's saying, that is this the best use of the dollar? Okay, back onto page 7. What happened to our major roadwork number?
Are we done on
lost it.
page 6?
Yeah, yeah, we did. It was
Oh,
a million
okay.
something. We did.
Engineering,
Yeah, we had it in there.
we didn't do rehab, engineering,
No,
legal.
because here's what happens, guys. That's your major roadwork project. It comes over the next page on line 197. This is like 1138, blah, 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 blah. We lost that number. It's remember the paperwork you got at the meeting before, last meeting where Lee said, this is what you've got left to spend?
Yeah,
That's what numbers got to go in there. So you'll get that number in there. It's $1,100,000 and some thousand.
That's going on 197.
Yes,
So on one,
So-
that's about 1.2 million on there.
yep. So what happens with this stuff is that, just so you know, Justin, we have to break it out
Mhm.
because it's a bid project.
Mhm.
But you only have to put it in as a budget, as a number.
Okay,
Because you
so I don't
don't
actually
know-
need to state a budget expectation except for a sum total.
Yes,
Okay, that
and it's a
helps.
hard number because we don't know how it's gonna come out.
I just didn't know if there was any expectations, and that's what we
Tell-
stated
tell
in
them what
there.
the number is. I lost it off this page. Why is it?
So 533.17.
Yeah, I don't know.
So 533.17 through 533.51, we really don't know. That's where we're gonna plug in the actuals next
The
year.
actuals, because you see, it's not in the budget in 2022
Right.
either. So the actual is 11989,000. That's the number. 1189000.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. I don't know
No,
why
it's
that
just,
got dropped.
it's for my education, because I usually because I'm going
Yeah,
through
it's
budget
a-
review
it's a-
everywhere else,
Yeah,
we look for,
it's a hard number, but that's why you don't see anything in this column.
okay.
All right. Winter salt and sand. they bumped it up to 40 because they were concerned that salt and sand is going up. I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Winter County, they put up to 8. They ran Tuma up to 75 and Schmidt and Sons to 150. Any questions on that?
I'm sorry, winter other is insurance?
Winter other, we're not using
Oh,
that
sorry,
right now. We had winter other because there was a time when they were hiring other people to help them out with snow plowing, so that's sitting there because they're not listed. So right now, county does certain roads like the end of Scott Road and the Golden Oaks roads, they bill us for those because they do the town of Hudson and then do ours.
Mhm.
And then Schmidt and Tuma do our roads.
So I'm sorry, I thought I heard you say insurance went up. I
No,
was trying to
no,
figure out what 150
No,
was.
nothing is in there.
Okay,
Then street lighting is at 1,500, although this year we spent 2,000, so we probably have to put that up to,
Is that Holton again?
yeah, 2,500 on that one. And then refuse and garbage collection is at 3,500. Todd's taking in about 2,100 plus what's going on around here, and recycling at 750. Then the town tractor, usually line 210, 53642, mowing town tractor was where we put wages. But now we've actually put a category in of payroll for the tractor. So that's 53644. We put in 40,500. And then we have spraying of weeds and repair and storage. 5 and 4.
And so is mowing is 53642 kind of gonna go away?
It's gonna go away, but we can't drop it because it's in this budget.
So for this, for 23, it's just a 0.
Yeah, it's a 0. And then tree cutting Tuma, I have a 10, tree cutting other, I have a 10. It balances it, one or the other might be over depending on who's cutting what. And you can fudge those numbers back and forth however you want. Doesn't matter to me. Any questions on public works? No, because we have to, the 542 is not the year to date. Is year to date, but it includes engineering for Church Street. Usually at the end of the thing, I've taken that off so you can see the difference, but I didn't do that yet. And I will do that.
for the Church Street thing, is that baked into next year's budget with the grant?
That's
as
in the
well?
1189000. On line 197.
That's back in that major road.
Major road work.
Yep, but what I was asking was, I think that was the one where we have the grant that we have to pay 50% on.
Mhm.
That's what I was asking, if that was included.
That's part of that 1189.
Okay,
And then you put the grant on the income side.
oh, perfect.
Yeah. So that's how municipal budgets work, is you can't take it off here.
No, I was just, I was
So you
just trying to
have to put
understand
the
where the line
full-
items were
Yeah,
gonna
you
come
have
in.
to put the full expenditure here, and then we put it on the other side that we got it.
Yep,
Okay, and we'll look, take a look at that public works, make sure where we're at.
Right, because if I'm a person living in this town and I look back and I say, okay, we just spent $7 million to fix up our roads. We fixed up our roads to the point where we don't need an impact fee anymore. So we are getting pretty good roads. Why would you have such an increase? Am I as a taxpayer gonna see 50% better roads after what I've already all paid?
I think what you're gonna see is roads that will not deteriorate as fast, because we're gonna stay on top of the maintenance on them.
So hopefully in the future,
You're not gonna.
there won't be a 50% raise in
Right.
public works.
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I get it.
Question,
It's a hell of a bump.
Yeah,
so is our 1,000,002, let's go back to the 1,000,002.
yeah,
That's our money and interest. That's still, we're still working off our loan money, right?
right.
That's the 1,000,002. So the argument could be made that our increase where our 400,000 is.
No, because it's not in.
Oh,
here, 'cause
no,
it
we
wasn't
can't
in
use that. That doesn't, we
Not in
can't, we
here.
can't use that for the seal coating. We can't use that money for that.
We
Never-
put
erase
an
that.
extra 50,000 into winter. In 23 because of the forecast. And we put. Sorry, 150 into that bid out. That's where your 200,000 is. And you know, you can. Here's another way I look upon it, and I'm looking at it different maybe than anyone else does. We have $18 million in new construction in this town. We have kind of done projects every year for about the last 5 years. We fixed the building, we built that, we bought a tractor, we've done the playground, we've done, you know, the parking lot, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this is a year we start getting caught up on public works. You know, I don't know. I mean, we bought a fire truck. I'm just throwing that out at you that we have to think about that, and we're not gonna know those numbers until the next budget meeting. When we get the number from him that we're gonna put at the top here. And start lining that stuff out and see where then you're gonna go chop, chop, chop. This is the wish list.
Okay, yeah, this is a wish list.
So that's why I want to go through this, because then on the next meeting, when we get the numbers at the top, then it's chop, chop, chop.
Okay.
Okay. So we have down at the bottom of the pink line, that's animal control, that 7,000 is in there. Obviously, the in and out is not even on that one, because we pay more for animal control than we collect. And then the cemetery. Next page. Next page has all of the parks on it. They're meeting on Wednesday and will give us their budget then. The only thing in here is our required payment to the library. So that's in there. Then if you drop down to conservation and development, they have not given us all their numbers yet, but we have cleaned this up, and I just want to explain to you what we've all done. We have separated. If you see the line 252, 56300, 56301, this is planning subdivision plat CSM reimbursable. You have the legal for development, the engineer for development. Then 2 lines from the bottom at 56400 zoning, that's the engineer zoning, legal zoning. So now those numbers will match back and forth once they're filled in by PC, which meets next week. So theirs are not filled in yet.
Well, who meets?
Plan Commission hasn't met yet.
Oh,
So those are the 2 committees that have not met to give us their numbers. Then we did not have any, I don't have any capital projects here except for parks, but parks comes under their budget, so I just didn't fill anything in there. Because we've already bought the fire truck. We did fill in all of our principal and interest on the loans. And we lumped all of the paying agent charges in one spot, even though they're paid out of 2 spots at the bottom of 9. Those are the actual, I mean, these payments are close. They're probably, you know, $1 or 2 off here or there, but that's what was given to us. And that's it.
Is that library our last library payment?
Yes.
It is,
Well,
right?
No, because we're still in next year. The city did not let us out. Remember, we asked to get out the end of this year.
Right.
We had to give a year's notice, so it's the end of next year.
Oh,
The
it's the
city,
end of.
the city has not given it, so this would be our last year in the library. And we pay half and half.
Okay.
So I don't want to say, when you said payment, I was like, oh, no, we pay half in the spring, half in the fall.
So is 92,000 an accurate number for the library?
That's based on the resolution that we approved that went to the county for the last 3 years average. We will
That's-
check that out.
That's still not in flux. It's,
We're going to check it out with the library and make sure that that number is absolutely correct, but that's what we sent in. So we have to check with the county on that and make sure.
and they
Yeah, the right
cannot,
number.
we send in our number and they can't assign us a number?
Well, they can say you did your math wrong and this is really the number. That's the only thing they can say. They can't ask us for 100,000, no. So. That's it, guys. So what she and I will do is when we get the information from Mark Garlic, we're gonna fill in this upper part on the budget numbers for income and get these all in here. And then get the 2 committees that are not done, get theirs in here. And next time when we come, we'll go through the whole thing and see where the numbers fall out. This was kind of late to you guys today, I know, because she and I worked, how many hours? 7 hours on Thursday getting this done. This is hell to pay. Anyway, we feel we're in a good spot and next time it'll be in your box earlier. We'll get it done so you can see it. Yeah, we had to rework this spreadsheet and it's just been a mess to deal with. Anybody have any questions on that? I think our next meeting is October what? Do you have it in? I'm sorry, what? 27th? October 27th, 6 o'clock. He's got open book that week. We have this going on and then we have our budget hearing on November 20th. Board of reviews prior to that. Board of reviews November 3rd, I think. Yeah. No, no. Some people will be on that side of the table. Yeah, and she's gonna have to divide the room because she has early voting. So they're gonna have to put a sign on the door and have everybody come in this way for this and that way for that stuff. So,
And we've run into that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's already exciting. Generally phone calls I've already gotten, and I said to her, God only knows how many are sitting on her answering machine in here. I'm just been,
So for open book, just because I've never gone through the process. I know that I've gone through the training.
yep,
And I'm not sure who else has. You have. Lori has.
yeah, I've done the new training.
How many members of the board have to be there for that?
It has to be a quorum.
We don't have any private citizens signed.
But
No,
my question then comes back is. Did you just say, Rick, you wouldn't be here?
No, I would.
Oh, you will.
November 3rd is Board of Review. November 20th, I think is, can you look on the calendar there quick? And state,
I'm just actually trying to figure out if we're all gonna be here and can be part if we have a contested property. That's what I was asking.
well, let's say Lori wants to contest her property.
Yeah.
Then she would have to come out of the board.
Yep.
And sit over there.
Yep.
And it would be best, that's what she has to do.
Yep.
Because she can't vote on herself. Yeah. What's it? Go ahead.
Open book is October 24th, 25th, and 28th.
When's the budget hearing?
That's the 27th.
No,
Oh, the budget hearing?
hearing.
Oh, the hearing.
That's in November.
Shouldn't that be the 15th?
No. It can't
The
be.
budget meeting is November 15th,
Oh, is it? Okay. I thought that was different. When is the Board of Review?
November 3rd. Yes, November 3rd.
So November 3rd is Board of Review. November 15th is the budget hearing.
October 23rd through the 25th,
24th, 25th, 26th,
24th, 25th, 26th is the.
open book.
And
Open
what I've
book.
been telling people is I've told them to call Mark next week if they have a question or concern.
Okay.
Because it can sometimes be answered over the phone. I had someone call me today. He's got forestry land. Why would this be so much money? I said, well, have you looked for your credits that you had on last year's tax bill? He goes, no. I said, well, look at your credits and then come back and tell me that it's too much money, because he felt he was being taxed as if it was regular, a regular parcel to have the house on. I said, no. I said, if you got 20 acres and 16 of it is in forestry, that has a credit on your taxes for that. He goes, you're right. I got to go back and look at that. So sometimes it's an easy answer.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not. That's what I'm gonna say to you guys. Sometimes it's not.
Board of review is during the day.
No. Open book is during the day.
We're not being. I'm not-
No. Board of review is what time?
6
6
to
o'clock.
8.
Yeah,
What's
6 to 8.
required for open book for us to,
What?
What time?
what's required for open book from the
You
board?
just come in and.
No, but I mean, how many do any of
No,
us
you
have to be
don't.
present?
No,
Okay, that's
no.
what I thought.
You do not want to be there.
I do not want to be there. That's why I was asking.
Good for you. Yeah, so, yeah, yep. So those things are coming up, but by the time we come back together in October, you will have had a time to think about these numbers and where they are all at, and then we'll have the rest all filled in. And even though the budget may not balance, which it won't, whether it's high or low, that's what our job will be on the 27th, is to figure out how to balance this budget. All the income will be in, because Mark will have those numbers. That's why this is not filled in yet. Yeah. And she just got notification on some of this stuff, so some of this is coming back to her. So she'll have it in there for the next meeting. Any other questions from anyone?
Are we done with the budget? So I can ask you.
Yes,
Question.
go ahead.
So when I was at the town
WTA?
education, I wanted to touch on this. They were discussing our conduct with, or not ours. I wanted to find this out here. So they were discussing conduct of boards in Wisconsin with developers coming in. And a few of the towns they were discussing, were meeting, let's say I went out and met with a developer and they were discussing that isn't appropriate.
Right.
So do we do that here? You don't go meet?
Never.
Okay,
That is a recipe for disaster.
okay. Well, that's why my ears perked up, was because the St. Croix Landing and all the,
They did come in here because the family wanted to know what the process was and did not understand.
yeah,
I met with them and Lee, and we handed out chapter 168, chapter 149, and the 2 applications with chapter 170, because they want to rezone part of that land, and said, here you go. And he goes, well, can you tell me this? I said, nope. He said, can you tell me this? I said, nope. Can you tell me this? I said, nope. This is what it is. We
Okay.
are not giving you any more information than this. If you have any questions, you direct them at Lee Mann. I don't answer anything. This is what I tell you. Any developer who calls me up, I go 168, 149, 170, 81. If it's, here it is. Because we just had someone call us on commercial property. So I gave them all four of those ordinance numbers and said, here's where you find the stuff. You go on the website, here's where it is. I don't talk to any of those guys because it'll happen like she remembers, because she was on the board at the time, with the last chair where he went out and met with a developer for many hours and came in with a development laid out that the board did not agree with.
okay.
Well, how are you gonna handle that? That's bad.
Well, because my hair on the back of my neck stood up at that
Yeah,
education.
I don't do
thought,
that.
uh,
And I get called all the time, don't get me wrong. This guy that wants to develop this commercial property over here, he called me up. I said, here's where you go look. I said, we have an engineer, you talk to him.
And can you be more specific, this piece of property? We gotta wait.
We'll wait till it's on this meeting.
Okay,
But I try to stay out of that, because I find that to be a road full of potholes. And I don't want to have any, even someone.
glad
who
we're on
calls me up
board.
About, I need a variance or I need a waiver. I just go, here's where the information is. Here's where you go. I don't want to get in the middle of that, because I think the minute you do, now you're hand holding them through the process. And now they're going to come back and say, well, Teresa said this. Well, I'm never going to be the one that says that, ever.
well,
Yeah, it's really fraught with danger.
okay, thank you.
Along the same line. On our applications, and I can't even tell you which one it is, or maybe it's on all of them, but I did notice on one of the applications, whether it was for a variance or a CSM but anyway, we still have the old attorney's information on those forms.
Oh, we'll have to change that.
And I don't know if they printed the form off of the document center
Yeah.
on the website, and the one on the website.
We'll
is
have her
gone.
check it.
What document is that?
I wrote it down. I
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? We're here.